Welcome to another Business Spotlight, where we share pearls of wisdom, reflections, advice, and insight from local business owners in the Manchester and Cheshire area. My name is Kerry James. I'm a business coach and a facilitator. And on this afternoon's Business Spotlight, I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Michael Jakubiak, founder of ndaxon. Good afternoon to you, Michael, and welcome to Business Spotlight.
Good afternoon, Kerry, and thank you very much for the invitation. Lovely meeting you.
You're very welcome. Let's get stuck in, if we may, please. ndaxon. How long have you been going, and what area do you specialize in, please, Mike?
Yeah, so let me give you a bit of a background story. So I studied economics, and I've got experience in business and recruitment for over 14 years. I recruited for counterterrorism, ran a neurodiversity hiring program for one of the biggest defense companies in the world. Recently took part in the government-backed accelerator program DISH for innovative startups in Manchester. So to answer further your question, we started trading in April when I decided to turn all of my consultancy knowledge into an app. And in June this year, we moved from a sole trader business to the limited company when we're developing an app which will help people with hiring process. So in cyber and tech in particular. And why we're talking about it? It's because I'm neurodivergent as well. I'm ADHD. And when I look at my life through the neurodiversity lens, I've noted so many pinpoints and room for improvement. So I wanted to do something about it. When I did a further research in terms of the market, I realized that 30% of staff in the tech sector and cybersecurity is neurodivergent. And challenge we've got with that 50% of people don't even know about it. So I came out with the solution, which first helped people with finding candidates for the tech and cyber roles, which is a massive shortage in the UK. And 50% of the business re-advertising their role once again because they're struggling to fill them in. But also help employers identify which candidates they're speaking to are neurodivergent so they can adjust their interview process, so make it all more inclusive. So it's a very complex app, but it will automate completely hiring process and will make it as inclusive as possible. So it will give an opportunity to people who are in a disadvantage by the way how our environment is set up. Like neurodivergent individuals, the setup is not it's geared for neurotypicals. So this app will help neurodivergent individuals be recognized and enter with ease cybersecurity and tech roles, and help employers how to interview them, but also how to retain them as well. And it will be easy as well as it will useful for the neurodivergent individuals. It will be easy applicable for neurotypical people, because I identify certain reasons why people don't disclose their neurodivergence. Sometimes they don't know, sometimes they just don't want to disclose it. So I came out as well with additional solutions which help overcome these issues and challenges as well, in a nutshell.
Okay, well, that's fascinating. How would you say that the last 3 years, the trends in our culture and our society has impacted all of that? Clearly with lockdown and I guess the encouragement to be much more open about our mental health and much more understanding of EDI, etc. What would you say have been the main changes or trends that have impacted on the reasons why you set up this app?
I think that COVID was actually a blessing, as ridiculous as it may sound, because it allows common working from home, enable working from home in many industries which haven't considered that before. And when you think about neurodivergent individuals, it's a bit about flexibility. So who is neurodivergent individual? Someone who processes information differently. And it's nothing's wrong with this. It's just because of they process information differently, they come up with a different outcome. So it helps your business innovate. But the challenge is what to do, how to create an environment so these people can how to create an environment to get the best out of people, out of neurodivergent individuals. So COVID, what it does, it forces employers to have staff working from home. When they force staff to work from home, it was a blessing from neurodiversity, because it finally helped people flourish. And I'm a good example of that, because I was working at Reed back then, which is one of the oldest recruitment business in the UK. And that's the time when I broke all of the Reed's records in their 60 years history, because I wasn't able to work from home. I won multiple awards at that time. And that's it. And I have to say, I didn't know I'm neurodivergent. Now I know why it worked this way, why I flourished during pandemic. And of course, then I like slowly moved away working for someone else, and I decided to open my own business.
Okay, that's a great story, isn't it? That's a great story. Help me understand this, Michael, because I don't profess or pretend to be any sort of expert in the area, but I do have some members of my family that have got some of these types of challenges, and I guess one of my observations would be that it's very, very complex, and there are huge ranges of different ways of people having a neurodiversity and neurodivergence. How do you cope with that level of variability, if that's a reasonable question?
It is, and that's a very good question, Kerry, actually, because that's a challenge everyone faces. First of all, people don't want to disclose if they know they're neurodivergent. Secondly, we need to remember that the neurodiversity is an umbrella term, so it includes ADHD, autism, Asperger, so on and so forth. So that's a whole spectrum, and there is loads of different traits. So each neurodivergent individuals will be slightly different. So they may have some traits from this part, some traits from this part, some traits from this part. So what I did, it's already working. So we created a tool which is called Neurodiversity Passport. And what is focusing on? It's focusing on your strength and your challenges rather than your conditions. So what I mean by that, we don't need to know that you've got ADHD. We don't need to know you've got autism or whatever you've got. That's you. It's not important. Important is to find out what's the challenge. What's the challenging environment for you? Is it a sensory? Is it sound? Is it crowded? Is it crowded place? Or is it a closed office space or an open office space? Is it you've got problems maybe with dyslexia, so you need some additional software will help you to overcome that. So we focus on the challenges, and even if you don't know about it, we give you the suggestion what could be done in place to improve the situation. So when you're going through the neurodiversity passport, it's a type of a form which when you start filling it in, it gives you an idea. It first allows you to reflect on your life and on your how you function at work, and you start to think what could help you to get the best out of you. Like, I don't know, working from home arrangements, or just noise cancelling headphones, or software which will allow you to read what's on the screen, so you won't make the spelling mistakes, so on and so forth. So I would say that's it.
Fascinating area, Michael. And what about the commercial model then? Is this designed to help recruitment agencies specifically, for example, or what is the commercial model here? And what might be your ideal either client, or maybe if it's more of a partnership arrangement? Tell us a bit more about that, please.
So commercial model, it's tackling the issues that 50% of all of the companies in the UK re-advertising technical and skilled roles. So this tool will be for any of this organization. It could be for the recruitment business, but it's geared for the business who are recruiting, not particularly for the recruitment businesses, to help them identify and find these people. So what I found out in last 14 years of my experience, I never struggled to fill any role, and I was dealing with very challenging roles. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it was a bit more tough, but I always were able to fill it. So what I did is to translate all of the expertise to help those companies had exactly the similar effect what I was able to produce.
Okay, and so would it be a specific size and shape of technical or IT orientated businesses? Would these be the type of businesses that you'd be looking to partner with?
So yes, when I think about it, will be usually probably businesses between 30 to 50 people onwards. That would be the companies which will have the hiring needs, which will justify the costs. So it will be a subscription model based. So we'll pay £750 a month, and you've got access to this tool, which allows you to fill the gaps, which automate fully your recruitment process. So by one click, you will have all the roles advertised, all the people already send the message to, and you have also a list of people who can call. You can call straight away by the one click with the estimate how likely this profile you look at is neurodivergent. So you can adjust your interview process straight away. So any business, 30, 50 people onwards, and doesn't matter how big you are, this tool will be suitable for. Any business who struggle to fill technical roles, that's a tool which is gonna be for. Any business who's got robust IT or cyber team, that's additional business which will benefit from this tool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. So what about aspirations for ndaxon then, Michael? Where do you hope or dream or see the business in 5 years' time, for example?
I will tell you. So aspiration. So I studied economics, and for the purpose of ndaxon, I needed to create a model. I ran the model to see how scalable is my business, and from the investor's perspective, I needed to check if I'm able to scale to 100 millions, and I am able to scale this business to 100 millions in the space of 10 years. In a space of 3 years, our aspiration is to have a first net million profit after tax, and a workplace for 64 people. 5 years, it's over 10 million profit after tax, and place for 200 people.
What a great answer to my question. So many times I ask that question and I get kind of very vague. I'm not really sure the type of answers. So to say this many people, this revenue, this net profit is actually very, very refreshing. And one of the principles we discuss when coaching our clients, of course, is that you're much more likely to reach a destination if you're crystal clear about what that destination looks and feels and sounds like. So that's a great answer. Thank you, Michael.
To follow up as well what you said. We also look at the number of clients. So to reach our first million, we need to distribute this tool to 650 companies. And it feels like a very achievable as well. 650 companies in 3 years, first million, and let's help those ND people.
Absolutely. So do you have a kind of clear mission linked to what you just said there, Michael?
Yeah, my mission is to improve neurodiversity hiring. And if you see the emails on me, that's the first thing which is under my signature. Michael Jakubiak found the mission: improve neurodiversity hiring.
So your mission is on your email signature. Excellent. Okay, very good. So what about your reflections and lessons as a business owner? So you've had a few years on the consultancy side, if I understand correctly, Michael, and you're moving that onto a software as a service or an app.
Yes.
What are the main lessons you've learned as a business owner so far, would you say? If you were going to give yourself some advice based on what you know now, what might that be?
Patience, that's for sure. And additional thing, what I would say to myself when I was younger: you're doing the right thing. Just carry on with what you're doing. Don't give up. And I would say that would be my advice.
Yeah, linked to your mission. I'm just reflecting on that the previous question and answer discussion we had, and I observed on the how detailed and specific you were, and I admired that with the answer to your question. Do you think might it be useful to observe what the typical strengths of neurodivergent people are in business? Is that a interesting
Yeah,
one?
I think it is. I think the most important thing is out of the box thinking. So from default, we don't think like other people. So when you think about it, that's around 18 to 20% of society is neurodivergent. So more likely you will have a neurotypical team, which will think certain way. When you start mixing your team and adding neurodivergent individuals, the process which neurotypicals need to spend more to start thinking out of the box, it's a default process for the neurodivergent individuals. So if you want to do something differently, if you need fresh approach, that's when neurodivergent people come very handy. That's funny enough, which probably people don't know. That's why government is focused heavily to have a neurodivergent people in their forces. So they embrace this out of the box thinking. And this is very important to now translate it to the usual businesses so they can benefit from this as well. But you need to understand how to do it. That's why the tools like the Neurodiversity Passport to help get best out of candidates and know your employees. Yeah, and I would say that's in a nutshell, out of the box thinking.
So is it fair to say then that the government have been using some sort of a tool or approach or expectations or what's the word I'm looking for? Quotas for making sure that there's a certain number of neurodiverse people in certain of the teams on the more of the kind of innovation, creative side of things?
I would love to answer this question, but I don't know as much these details. I know that they've been focusing on having neurodivergent individuals in a team, especially on the ones thinking of innovation or outside of the box thinking. It's very useful, especially in cybersecurity.
Okay, very good, excellent. Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure, and it's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you for sharing your story and where you're up to with your business. Well, one final question, if I may. Who might be the perfect audience for the first discussion with your business? Might it be a hiring manager in an IT technical business? For kind of first part of my question, and then the second part is what might be a sensible next step if people are interested in pursuing a discussion with yourself and ndaxon.
Yeah, so probably depending on the size of the business, it will be either HR person responsible for the company's hiring process, or it will be, as you mentioned, hiring managers, but as well as business owners, because this tool, outside of the fact that it will help you find right people, it will also decrease the time spent on recruitment and significantly decrease the costs. So the first thing would be to schedule a meeting with me to find out more.
And what is the best URL to use to follow up, would you say, Michael?
So it will be www.ndaxon.com, which is ndaxon.com. And why axon? Because axon is a superior neuron. And we're talking about processing information. So the way how the connection works between neurons, that's what makes people neurodivergent. So that's why it's ndaxon.
I remember a fascinating book that I read as part of my biological sciences degree, Michael. It was the physiology of synapses. I remember that being the fascinating title for the book. So yes, takes me back to my university days, but that was a long time ago. There we are. Well, thanks again, Michael. We will put that URL together with the posts associated with this interview. Thanks very much for your time and for your input. It's been fascinating, and all the very best with ndaxon.
Thank you very much, Kerry. It was lovely. Thank you very much for the invite. Much appreciated. It was lovely speaking with you.
All the best. Bye for now.
All the best. Bye-bye.